Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Okay. All right, we'll put this on the screen also. 1 second. Okay. Okay, I guess we can start. I'm just going to put this on the screen.
Mhm.
Okay, so remember we were learning the starting with the second one. I believe the Mer by Paper Air of Miriam. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Now let's see if I can do the sharing. Hold on. Oh, perfect. Okay. You got that on the screen as well. You might have it printed out. Okay. Yeah, who would like to read to begin the living rules? Let's again start with the second paragraph. The bear of the air of the P bear of the bear of Miriam.
I can read.
Okay, please go ahead. Let's start again.
Okay, so the mouth of the well, it is the well of Miriam. So that's Pi Be'er is in the list of the 10 things.
That's right, the second of the 10. Very good.
V'hanes haya shevischosa yatso mimenu mayim shelo hayuba. And it's a miracle that Bischusa is the merit.
In her merit, right.
In her merit, that the water came out from it. Shalo hayuba, that the water was not there. There was no water there, and then a miracle, the water came out.
Right, because there's no water in rocks. Rocks don't contain water, right?
Right.
So it was just like, as I was explaining a bit yesterday, the rock was just like the faucet. There's no real water in the faucet.
Right.
Faucet's just the end termination of all the piping and the whole water system that goes behind it. You know, we're used to just turning on the tap and you get hot and cold water, right there at your fingertips. But there's a lot behind that whole system of starting from you can back up all the way to the rains, go back all to the rains, how Kadosh Baruch Hu makes the rains, and there's the clouds, the winds, temperatures, and then everything from there, it comes down to the ground, it collects reservoirs, rivers, lakes, and then it's finally gathered into some type of a water system. And it's also somewhat sanitized in some way or another, right? And then there it is. And in the Midbar, they had none of that. It was just straight out of the rock. Pretty amazing when you think about it.
Let's see. Bahaisa holekes imahem Bechol hamasaos. And it was that it came from them, from the rock, I guess.
Well, Haisa Holechis Imoim, it went like from lech, like the word Lech Lecha Holechis is it Haisa, it went Mohim, it went along with them. The Kol Masos and all their travels, right? That
With them being the Jewish people. Okay, got it.
I mean that that's another miracle right there. That it was can you imagine? Lou, you were a couple of weeks ago you were out there in the Yosemite Park, right? I think you wrote me you were in Yosemite Park.
Yes.
You camped out there or something overnight?
Well, we stayed in a tent cabin.
Tent cabin, right? So they had running water type pipe into there.
No, we had to go to the building to get water.
Yeah, so you had to get water there, right? So so and when you're hiking around, right? So I guess you took a canteen or something like that with you.
Yeah, we took water bottles.
Yeah, took water bottles, sure. So in the in the midbar they didn't need it. The rock followed them around, right? And wherever the rock was, the water, they got the water on tap from the rock, and the rock wasn't attached to a piping system going back to the Kinneret, here in Eretz Israel, bringing water down from the Kinneret. It followed them around, and they had the water on tap from the rock, and there it was, right there for when they needed it, and that's pretty miraculous that feeding 2 million people plus, for almost 40 years. That's pretty good. It's pretty good water system. And the miracle, part of the miracle was it followed them around.
I've got here to bring it to the surface, say the sages, the heads or princes of the 12 tribes would stand by it with their staffs and chant, "Spring up, O well, sing to it." And each one then drew water from it for his tribe. This well, says our Mishnah, was created towards the end of creation.
Right. That's right. Okay. So, right. So they had to. Interesting. They had to. They asked from the well to bring forth the water. Okay. Very good.
Stand by the rock or well and sing, right. And the water would come out.
Very good. Okay.
Okay. Urabenu Salma Zal.
That's Shlomo, Rabbeinu Shlomo. I think that's Rashi.
Shlomo.
I think Rabbi Shlomo, Rabbeinu Shlomo. I think that's a reference to Rashi.
Okay. Perash She'amar Shira Shene'amar Alei Ba'or Anu La. Rashi explained that they would say they would say a song.
Right. This is what Roy was just mentioning. Right. This is what they said. Shenemar alei be'er anu la Hashem anu la Hashem. That's a pasuk in B'midbar. You want to look it up, and it's in, as it says here, Chaf Aleph in pasuk Yud Zayin. You have a minute, you could look it up.
Okay, so this is what the princess said.
Apparently, it's you have your chumash there, Mayor?
Yes, it says. I'll just read from the previous verse.
Thank you.
And from there to the well, of which Hashem said to Moshe, "Assemble the people, and I shall give them water." And this is our pasuk. Then Israel sang this song Come up, O well, announce it.
Hmm.
And then one more verse, it says, well, the princes dug, and that the nobles of the people excavated through laughter with their staff, a gift from the wilderness.
Very good. Okay.
Im Cain, Nace,
Thank you, Mitch.
Oh,
Thank you. Very
he-
good.
Sure.
pardon?
No, go ahead. Very good. Yeah. Him came. If so,
So, therefore, it was a great miracle. V'nimna be'elu ha'asara. What's nimna?
Nimna, it was counted along with these 10.
And it's counted among the 10. Lefi shezos ha-beria lo nizkara b'sheshes yemei bereshis. So and this, because of this, the creation is not niskara. It means included.
And mentioned the fee. Okay, so it said this was a great miracle, and it was counted along, excuse me, with these 10. Why the fee? Because Shazos Habria, this creation, lo nizkara. This creation was not mentioned in the 6 days of creation, right? That you would think that such a thing like this should have been mentioned in the during the 6 days of creation, but it hadn't been mentioned there. So it was counted amongst these 10 things which were created after, as we learned previously, through the Maharal explaining that it was created during that time of Bein Hashmashos for the special reasons that the Maharal explained to us. Therefore, it was created at that special time.
V'af al pi she haaretz v'ha ba'er heim biklal ma'aseh v'reishis. And even though that the world and the well, they are included in the creation in the beginning. Aval piotehem sheyiftachu ve'achar kach yisgaru. But what is this word piotehem?
I believe the mouths of them, right? That alpha p shar even alpha p, even though sha'aretz who be'er heim b'klal ma'aser bereshis, even though that the first of the 10, which was the pia aretz, and also here there's the mouth of the be'er, even though they were included in ma'aser bereshis, right? Meaning those things were part of the 6 days of creation. Aval pi heihem, their mouths shepischur, that were opened up.
And afterwards, Yisgaru. What's Yisgaru?
And they were closed, meaning the mouths of the earth and the mouths of the air, they opened, and they were also closing. They were opening and closing. as like Roy was mentioning, there was a certain animation to them.
Haim Barios She'ain Lahem Dugma B'Maaseh Bereshis V'niv Ra'u Bain Hashmashos. They are creations. What's Dugma?
Which are similar, which have a similarity.
Which are similar to the things that are made during the 6 days of creation.
Right. She'ein dugma. They have no such similarities to the things that were created during the mice of creation, the days of creation. Yeah, ein lem dugma. There's no such.
They're not similar to them.
Right.
And they were created in the twilight zone.
Correct.
Uve Sifrei Amru.
Right. The Sifrei, that's Medrash. That's the Medrash. Right.
And in the Medrash, it mentions the well.
I think what he's mentioning here in the Sifrei in the Medrash doesn't mention about the Pi of Be'er, the mouth of the bear. It mentions that the Be'er was the thing which was created.
Okay.
So there are different opinions in Chazal, whether it was the mouth that was created during Ben Ishmoshes or it was the whole of the Be'er that was created during Ben Ishmoshes. That seems to be a discussion amongst the Chazal.
So I'm confused about this, that they're not similar. Because the mouths open and close, they're not similar.
Right. Meaning, if a Kadosh Baruch Hu, for example, Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, chose to I mean, that we see that there are many.
I can't hear you, Rabbi.
Yeah, sorry. We see, I mean, all the things, we obviously we take it for granted what the Kadosh Baruch Hu created. I mean, we know what Kadosh Baruch Hu created anything. That's not a question, right? But the uniqueness of these 10 things, we have to understand something about the uniqueness about these 10 things that a Kadosh Baruch Hu singled them out, especially to be created during this special time of Bein Hashmoshes, right? That we see that there are many places, there are many sources of water throughout the world, but the miracle of what took place here with the Be'er, first of all, that there was water coming from a stone. In general, that's a big miracle. And secondly, that it accompanied them throughout their travels in the Midbar, and the source of the water was there was no source for the water, right? If Hashem decided that there would be certain rocks, it's just like a Kadosh Baruch Hu decided that certain rocks have magnetic properties, correct? Right?
Yeah.
So that's something Kadosh Baruch Hu built into nature, that there's such a thing as magnetism, and there's certain metals and they have certain properties, just like all the you go through all the elements, right? All the elements have different properties, right? And we make use of the different properties of all the different elements. But so if we had a creation that there was some rocks that gave forth water, so that's what we would just be used to, right? We would just be used to having rocks bringing forth water, right? But even with that, if that would be part of Teva, there would still be a more unique aspect to this miracle that was taking place, that it was done without any source of water, and it was be done in a way that was constantly with the Klal Yisrael throughout their journeys. So those things were specific, meaning the hashkacha pratis. I think we have to focus a minute on the hashkacha pratis here. I mean, this is something that Kadosh Baruch did for his people, Klal Yisrael, meaning when we came out of Mitzrayim and we became the Ama Nivchar, the chosen people for Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that we through that gained the special attention that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives throughout all the places where Klal Yisrael lived and all the generations and eons, the thousands of years that Klal Yisrael has been here. So we have now had the opportunity of being blessed by Kadosh Baruch Hu's specific interest in us, right? So to allow us to have the benefit of this water in the midbar, which is really an impossible, unnatural state of affairs. So Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted this to be created. See, when we'll have to think about this as we're going through these 10 different things. These, if you'll try and understand it, a lot of these things are maybe specifically benefiting Klal Yisrael, right? These are not something which are simply benefiting the world at large. These are certain things which are benefiting Klal Yisrael in a very special way, and for that we wanted to make note of these things, and I think for that reason specifically they were created at this time. That it wasn't simply that the world would be created with all the things naturally there or available for life and existence as we know it, but there was also 10 extra special things that were created for the sake of Klal Yisrael, for our benefit, for our existence. So it wouldn't be simply enough to create it during the time of Bereshis. It would be lacking the exclusiveness that it shares with the other things which were created exclusively for the benefit of Klal Yisrael.
Okay. P ha iton.
The Asun, that was the donkey of Bilam.
Ah, the mouth of the donkey. Adayin lo niv raos ha iton. It's still not created for a donkey.
Well, that donkey hadn't been created yet. The mouth of that donkey was created, but the donkey, that I guess it was, the donkey was born, sometime around the time of when Bilam was looking to buy a donkey, and so that donkey was born at that time of history. But the mouth of that donkey was already created from the time of Ma'aseh Bereshis.
Oh, aval nigzar aleha she tidaber im Bilam. But what is nigzar?
It was decreed.
It was decreed upon it that it would speak with Bilam.
Right.
V'chein
Sorry, that
Kasav,
means no, sorry, that means with nobody else.
Right, right, exactly.
Mhm.
v'chein kasav hacham, Rebbe Avraham, Evan Ezra, Zal, Beperush HaTorah. And thus it was written by the sage Rebbe Avraham, the Ibn Ezra, in his commentary on the Torah, period. So
Right,
this is what was written by the Ibn Ezra.
right. So that meaning that there was even though the donkey hadn't been created, but that mouth that was going to eventually be decreed to speak to Bilam, that had been created here at this point.
Va'al
Wasn't-
Kain,
Mm.
you want to say something, Roy?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was the ability to talk from when it was born, or was that put in at the time that was needed?
I'm not 100% sure, but I would tend to say that it was put in at that point when it was needed, meaning there was the I mean, first, in reference to your question, how do we understand it? Meaning, we understand the for a mouth to talk. I mean, there has to be a certain structure, architecture of the mouth, the tongues, the lips, the teeth, all the things which allow us to make the noises that we make from our mouths. Correct?
Right.
Vocal
Now, I don't
cords.
know. Vocal cords, exactly, vocal cords as well. Now, I don't know if a donkey, your normal donkey, has that architecture, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
don't think it does.
Yeah,
None of the
probably.
animals do.
Excuse me, Roy?
None of the animals do normally.
Yeah, right. So that means physiologically, biologically, it had to have the apparatus to be able to speak, right? So was that apparatus there? Let's say, was it born with that apparatus when it finally came into the world? But it was only activated at the time when the Shem wanted to talk to Bilam, right? Or was that apparatus, so to speak, brought into it miraculously at the time when it needed to speak? Don't know. I really don't know.
But you also need the brain to say what you have to say, to
Right? Yeah.
command
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's rather than the actual physical structure of the throat and whatever, it was rather the ability was created.
Right. So the ability was created.
So
So how do we understand what's your intention with the words with the ability?
because if it had to have a reconstruction, then that would be a bit messy. I mean, Shem could do it, but I would imagine that it'd be like sort of like a spiritual operation. But having the structure there already, it just needs the ability to be given to the donkey to do that, to speak.
Right.
That just needs to be activated. That would activate everything. The
Yeah,
brain,
but
yeah.
right. Good. Okay, I understand. So based on that, I mean, we have to look at from the other point of view. Do you think that if it would have the apparatus there, so do you think it could function normally as a donkey? I mean, whatever a donkey needs to do with its mouth. I mean, I don't know if it could function as a donkey properly.
Well, I can. I often do. What's a donkey go? Go hee-haw or something like that. I suppose it's. I suppose Hashem. Yes, it could, because we're capable of multi voices and that. So Hashem would just allow the appropriate voice to come out from the donkey, and like BYC from a donkey, but that would be the only thing it would be allowed to say until it needed to talk, and then the appropriate activation would take place.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm just wondering myself.
This is a question. It's not a statement.
Yeah, right. It's all speculation. We're just trying to understand things. Logically speaking, how do we understand the situation? What I can tell you is that there's a sefer that's written by a Talmud of the Rashba. I mean, he's a Rishon. I mean, he's going back a good.
I'm sorry, I lost you. For what I can tell you is.
Yeah, I can tell you this, that there's a sefer called the Torah Mincha, which is written by a Talmud of the Rashba. The Rashba was a Rishon, so that means his Talmud was a Rishon, living, I would say, easily 700 to 800 years ago. And so he writes there. So we see after the donkey had spoken to Bilam, and they had their exchange, so the donkey was killed. The donkey died.
Yes.
So Rashi mentions some reasons why. One, that people shouldn't make a avodah zorah from it, right? You see, hey, there's a walking donkey here. We got to bow down to this thing, right? Maybe it can do something for us, right? And number two, that people shouldn't say this was the donkey that embarrassed Bilam, because of the kavod Adam. And even Bilam was a Russia, right? He was not by any means a tzaddik. He was very far from a tzaddik in all many very different ways, but nevertheless, because it was still in essence a human being, that the fact that the animal would have embarrassed him, that was not considered to be honorable, and it would be disgraceful for Bilam that the animal be kept alive. The people would say, "Oh, this is the animal which embarrassed the human being, which embarrassed Bilam." So the animal had to go. Another reason, this is what the Sefer brings down, the Torah Mincha from the Talmud of the Rashba says, since when the donkey was given that potential to speak, so apparently what we're learning here, that the apparatus to speak was given, the pet, the actual mouth, all those organs, even the vocal cords perhaps necessary to speak. Apparently we're talking about the physical apparatus to be able to speak. But as you mentioned, you need to have the thought process of speaking as well. So that, as the Sefer explains, was brought to the donkey through the additional soul, meaning the neshama that a person has, part of our neshama, that the spiritual force within us, that's the spiritual force which allows us to be able to think and to be able to enunciate our words, which other animals and other life forms don't share with us, because we have that special soul, that elevated neshama, tzelem Elokim, in some way or another, that allows us to be able to speak as well. So the donkey was given somewhat of a elevated neshama, right, in order to be able to speak. So when that elevated neshama left the donkey, because when its conversation was over, so that neshama left, and with the leaving of that neshama, the animal was left void of a neshama, and then therefore it had to die. So that's one other explanation why the donkey had to die, even though it did on its own, it didn't really anything particularly wrong. Wasn't being killed because of some type of punishment.
Yeah.
Balaam's donkey was not the first non-human to speak, though.
Mm. True.
Remember the serpent spoke to Chava?
Right.
So I don't know if he had vocal cords either, but
Well, the form of the serpent before the curse was not a serpent.
Yeah,
Right?
it was a sort of it was a different type of a thing. Yeah, it walked on its feet. It had feet and arms of such. So yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Probably the donkey had to die because once it's dead, what happens to it? Does it get cremated or cut up or thrown
Animals,
away or what?
animals. I guess
Oh,
depends what they
I'm
did. You have to
sorry,
take them to the food factory.
yeah, because people then want to look into the mouth, dissect it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could be.
So
Should be.
that had to be prevented. But on the other hand, the death of the donkey would have to be after it's finished carrying Balaam wherever he had to go,
Right.
there and back.
Right. So yeah, I mean, so that's another question. Here we see that the pair the Asen was created during Ben Ishmoshes. So like, where did it go after the animal died? Right?
Mm.
Where did it go? Don't know. I never thought of that.
Yeah, by the way, I'm sorry, but from time to time my connection fails and you freeze for me. It's my fault, not yours.
Say that one more time, Roy.
Beg your pardon? So sometimes my connection breaks and you freeze, and so I miss out what you
Ah.
say. It's my connection.
Yeah.
Not,
No, I said yeah. No, I said I wasn't sure. I was trying. I never thought about what happened to the mouth after the animal died. Meaning, we see the mouth was created in the time of Benish Moshe's Bereshis, but what happened to the pet? What happened to the mouth afterwards? I don't know. I have no idea. Don't know. Okay. Wow. Okay. I see we've gone a few minutes over time. It's 2 minutes, 12 to 10. Okay, so look, let's take a little break here. We'll go on to the Mishnah Berurah in a few minutes.